So today is the disappearance day of Bhaktivinod Thakur. Bhaktivinod Thakur is a great acharya in our parampara. His previous name was Kedarnath Datta. And his life was, began with a very humble situation. And then gradually, by the education, that time India was ruled by Britishers, he rose in responsibility and came to the post, the DC, what we call today district magistrate. British time, it was a very powerful post. Therefore, you see DM offices always British time, were huge. Next to the governor. That was all. You cannot go beyond that for an Indian that time. So even though he was in such big responsibility, he had a very unique contribution to make in the Krishna conscious movement. And his contribution is such that practically, single-handedly, Prabhupada said he pioneered the whole Krishna conscious movement single-handedly. So he showed by an example so many things. Number one was that he understood when he read the Chaitanya Charitamrita and other books, the books of the Goswamis, that the whole wealth of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is practically lost. And rather, not only the practically lost, the misrepresentation was so bad that instead of respecting this movement, people are feeling rather annoyed by this movement. Even a common man. That is called Sahajiya. This movement had, Sahajiya, you will find still in Bengal some people. There are 20 varieties of them. Sakhi, Beki, Gauranga, Nagari, Basically tamasha. Without sincere sadhana, without sincere study of the scriptures, without sincere attempt to please the Lord, person wants to show advanced symptoms of spiritual life. So what will happen? Wrong understanding if you don't read the scriptures, and just trying to entertain the public with tamasha. That's what started. And Bhaktivinod Thakur, because Krishna, Ye Shastra Vidhi Ussajya, if there is not taken proper guidance from the Shastra and the Acharyas, our Bhakti Marga is, Bhagavad Gita it is said, Ye Shastra Vidhi Ussajya Vardate Kamakari Naha Nada Siddhi Mapnuti Nashamti Na Param Gatim. If we play around with the rules of the scripture and we think that we can advance in spiritual life, nothing will happen. Shastra Vidhi may be sometimes difficult, but it has to be executed. So Bhaktivinod Thakur saw that people have made the movement of Lord Chaitanya, which is such a glorious movement, by around 200 years it had watered down. And the descendants who were there, they had made it very cheap. And the worst case was the people were indulging in abominable habits in the name of spiritualism. Just like you go to Kumbh Mela, you see so many sadhus smoking ganja. You see that, and that is considered spiritual advancement. We know a common man is better than that. At least he is not taking drugs. Okay? So this was the situation. Here it was still worse because people were, in the name of spiritualism, were indulging in illicit sex. That's why Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada used to say, my disciples, if they become Sahajiya, they'll become more dangerous than a Karmi, because they can justify anything. There was once somebody committed a murder in the term that we should transfer him to another body. He is doing too much mischief now. Just imagine. So, using philosophy, you can do anything then. You can play around and confuse, and that's what was happening. The same way there is a mention in the scriptures how we have Sampatti Dasha. We are hearing from Nectar of Instruction, where a person understands his constitutional position. So somebody without any spiritual advancement, by some gymnastic of the mind, actually a Sahajiya doesn't know he is a Sahajiya. He is thinking he is spiritually advanced. But because we do not see any parallel symptoms of purification of the heart, we know he is just making a show. The devotees were there in America, and this is the second center ISKCON had created, Los Angeles. So they had rented a hall and they're doing program. Suddenly one person, Sahaji, entered. And as the kirtan was going on, right in the middle, he fell down on the ground and like that drama. The whole crowd starts looking, and you get a lot of followers. So people think you are special. All that happens. Devotees were young. They thought, leave it to his karma and others' karma. They went with what we can do. So their whole idea is this only: make some tamasha. Many times you will see people do not practice spiritual life, and they do not know actually. Sahajiya doesn't know he's a Sahajiya. He feels that. Prabhupada says very nicely, we have to see that whether it is coming from the heart or it is coming from the mind. When an emotion comes from the mind, then it is Sahajiya. When it comes from the heart, it is spiritual advancement. So how do you discriminate? We should know, if suppose tears of love of Krishna is coming from the heart, that means that there will also be total purification of the mind. There will also be other symptoms of spiritual advancement. Correct? So this happened very unfortunately, and Bhaktivinod Thakur had to see the situation. So what did he do actually? He took up all the works of the Goswamis, wrote hundreds of books. In fact, number of books written by Bhaktivinod Thakur, I think last 3-4 acharyas maximum. He wrote so many books. He wrote in English, he wrote in Sanskrit, he wrote in Bengali. He wrote so much that you will shock if you see the list of his books. Every year he was producing one big book. So many books he wrote. In fact, in Bengal, what had happened, because India at that time, the main seat was Bengal. And the people in Bengal now started becoming educated in English, and they got exposed to the Western philosophy and culture, and they slowly started adopting it. That's always the attitude. And Bhaktivinod Thakur was there in that community, which it used to be called Bhadra Samaj. We are the elite people. They are Bhadra. Bhadra Rupa. Bhadra, special. Bhadra Samaj in Bengali, special people. And he was because of his education and being the district magistrate, he also became part of that. But when he started writing prolifically and started giving discourses, he had actually a very major transformative role in the society. Bhaktivinod Thakur was highly respected. He became highly respected because of his work. So he listed out this 20 kind of bogus sampradayas, and he said, we have to know the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And he started expounding the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And by his own travel, in fact, he started the Namhatas. Namhatas was started by Bhaktivinod Thakur. And the technique now also ISKCON is trying in some parts of the world to preach. That was started by him. Namhatas means organize groups, make the qualification for a leader of the group. It's not officially a temple, but basically a group which practices Krishna consciousness. So like that, he started organizing what is called Namhatas, where the preaching goes on. And this being one part, and it was a very huge effort for him. Another part was that he started locating where is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. And it was not easy because the river Ganges had shifted. In fact, in the original literatures it is there that the Ganges will flood all the places of Lord Chaitanya's pastime, and slowly it will come back again. So he knew that, and he was locating. Many people told, no, it's all over. Actually, Ganges flooded all the places of Lord Chaitanya pastime. like that. But he took out the maps, he took out various records. Because he was a district magistrate, he could have easily access to everything, and finally located. And he, not only that, even he had a darshan of that place. From his house he could see huge light somewhere, bright light, some darshan. And then he started, this is the confirmation, this is the place. And then not only that, to further now records of perfect, he is himself having a spiritual vision, this is the place. Now third, what he did was that he took a sage who was most respected in that area, that is called Jagannath Das Babaji, very very respected saint of that time, very elderly, and he had personally many times seen, even though he was quite tall, but because he had crossed 100 years of age, his backbone had become very weak. And you see, it's people, they become like this. So people used to carry him in basket. So he carried him in basket to that place, and he jumped out of the basket when he reached that place, and he started dancing as he used to do in kirtans. Even though he was quite old, Bhaktivinoda Thakur many times puts in his writing, I get amazed by seeing his ecstasy in kirtans. He dances like a young boy when a kirtan starts. This was, he had seen, and many times he written, I have not seen somebody so happy spiritually. He used to be very very respectful to Jagannath Das Babaji. Jagannath Das Babaji used to say 6 months in Vrindavan, 6 months in Mayapur. So he used to regularly go either of the places to meet him and take his darshan. He had great respect for him. Even though Jagannath Das Babaji is not his Diksha Guru, his Diksha Guru was Bimal Kishore Goswami. But because he took all the spiritual inspiration from Jagannath Das Babaji, he put him as his Guru, not ritual Guru. So now what happened next, when Jagannath Das Babaji also confirmed, that this is the place. In fact, then after that, his Guru Jagannath Das Babaji and Gaur Krishna Das Babaji, who was attached to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they all used to go regularly to do kirtan at that place. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur retired from the post of district magistrate, and he gave a newspaper. He went house to house, and he was asking, true, that day 1 taka is not small, he used to ask 1 taka, that's all, for the construction of Lord Chaitanya's temple. Lord Chaitanya is well known in Bengal and Odisha, so people knew, and he was very respectful person. And they were very surprised. He's coming door to door. He collected the money, and he built what is known today as Yoga Pitha. Yoga means, why the word Yoga Pitha? Yoga means linking. The place which links Lord Chaitanya to the material world, where he took, appeared. Therefore the name, Yoga Pitha. That's how the name is given. Many places, it's not the only place. That's the way many places people know Yoga Pitha means where the Lord descends. Correct? From the spiritual world, the Lord manifesting his Leela at this place, he started the Leela. That is called Yoga Pitha. So that's how he made the Yoga Pitha. And he wrote voluminously. Not only that, he was writing, he was sending this literature to all the libraries around the world. At his time, the big philosophers of the world many times wrote to him, can you write in English? Because he used to write prolifically in Sanskrit also. Because some scholars in the West knew Sanskrit, many did not know. So say, can you write in English? So he used to make one more article for them and then send. And he realized his time is up now. His age is picking up. And he started praying to the Lord that I do not think I will be able to accomplish it. In fact, there is a very interesting incident happens once he goes to Jagannath Puri. And Lord Jagannath comes in his dream. He was the district magistrate doing all the kind of things. In fact, in Jagannath Puri, he put the Pandas into shape. One person in the history. Nobody had the courage even today. He put them into shape. And he saw that they do what they are supposed to do. Main thing, the offerings all should happen in time, and temple should be neat, clean. That is the first business of the people at the holy place. And he had desire, so he prayed. In the dream he had Jagannath darshan, and Jagannath said, what are you doing? I didn't bring you to Jagannath Puri for this. You fulfill my mission, bring out the Lord Chaitanya's teaching. He said, your movement is fully deprecated. It's not possible for me to do it alone. You send me somebody from your personal staff. So Jagannath said, okay, you pray to Bimala Devi. And that's another pastime what Bimala Devi is doing at Jagannath Puri, correct? There is a Durga deity there, Bimala Devi. So he said, you ask her, she will give you. So he went to next day on the order of Jagannatha, went to Bimala Devi, said, please give me a child which can help me in the mission. And that is the birth of Bhaktivinod Prabhupada. Therefore he named him first Bimala Prasad. His first name was Bimala Prasad. Later it became Bhaktivinod Prabhupada. And by various symptoms he understood this child is what I had prayed for. Auspicious, first for the sign when he appeared with a thread around his neck. Umbilical cord was, when they took out was marked like a thread. Auspicious sign. And then the child very soon, in a few years, memorized all the Vedic literatures. And his name was Saraswati. He is so knowledgeable. He got different names. And then he actually at that time composed the whole Surya Siddhanta in the astrology. And the work was very beautiful. So therefore people gave him the title Saraswati. And he felt very happy that he's leaving this world with somebody who can continue this mission. And Bhaktivinod Prabhupada continued. In fact, he ordered Bhaktivinod Prabhupada towards the last part of his life that you see this work is not unfinished. Glorify Mayapur by publishing literature. That is a specific order to Bhaktivinod Prabhupada. The whole world should know the value of Mayapur. Nobody knows who is Lord Chaitanya, what is his mission is not known. And he tried his best. And another thing very interesting about Bhaktivinod Thakur is his schedule. His schedule was unimaginable. Just like almost like where Srila Prabhupada had a very organized day. This time he does it, this time he had also a day like that. Same, practically no sleeping. He used to go to work just like everybody goes 9 o'clock. Correct? He had a pakka meal ka discipline. Later his children told that his food was so disciplined. He eat this much at this time, this much at this time. And his day was packed. There is the time of the day he is writing. There is the time of the day he is reading scriptures. There is the time of the day he is a meeting guest. The time of the day where he is going to the court. Even with all the responsibilities, he used to come back something like 5-6 o'clock, then take a nap for an hour, then start writing. If you see his schedule, you will be stuck with wonder. Hardly any sleep, and continuously with full energy he was working. And it's a great inspiration for us. Then another instance was his strictness, which I was telling. He put the Jagannath temple in order. Once he had a famous instance we always talk about, is that there was a person who declared, I am God. And what is the name? This fellow? Bishikashena. And when Britishers it's a very sensitive thing to deal with, they are ruling the country. And this godman, you have to be very careful. If you don't want to create a public uprising, they had to be careful, So they knew it will be difficult for them to manage if something they touch on religious issues. So Bhaktivinod Thakur was known to be a very religious man. Not only that, highly respected by people in his spiritual field, even though he was the magistrate. They asked him, can you deal with this? He said, okay. And what happened? When he went to that village where one person was there, he was declaring that I am God. And he was asking people are such foolish that I want to do Ras Leela, send your wives and daughters. And people are supplying. Can you imagine the madness? And what was his God? Yeah, some magic, that's all, some cheap magic. But not like today's, he actually had some yogic powers. So when he went in a plain clothes dress with some assistants, police. So he asked him, so the moment he entered the presence, he said, Kedarnath Datta. He was a yogi. Immediately figured out who is this man. Don't disturb me, I'll make you the king of India. So he said, no, that's fine. You are a great spiritualist. Why don't you come to Jagannatha? What are you doing in this small village? So he says that Jagannatha, he is a piece of wood. I am living God. And now when he heard that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a great devotee of the Lord. He became fire. He insulted Lord like this. So he immediately shouted, "Arrest this rascal!" So police caught him. Just imagine. So can you do today? There's so many people in India jump around that I am God. Can you arrest him and put inside jail? He arrested him. He was very popular in Bengal, lakhs of followers. There was big tumult when he did that. He put him into jail. There were lakhs of followers every day coming and doing protests, this, that. And this person, first night, put his daughter into high fever. Suddenly, without any reason. And in the morning, fever is gone. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur went to the court. The trial was going on. He said, "Yesterday what I did, I just to show my power. You want to fight with me?" He was a yogi with some mystic power. The Bhaktivinoda Thakur continued with the trial. He said, "I may die, but I'll punish this person," because he had made some very strong statement against Jagannatha. "I'm going to punish this person." He was determined. And in fact, the day of the judgment when he came, he could not even walk to the court. He was having very high fever. His wife was having very high fever. People are telling, "What are you doing? You're playing with God," seeing his condition. But what happened at that moment when he came to the court, I think there was another Britisher who had just read somewhere, this yogis, the powers are in their jata. The hairs they keep or something. He asked a barber. Barber said, "How God's hair I can cut?" So finally, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur or the Britisher, they themselves shaved the head of that person. And he gave him some imprisonment in the jail, say, for a few years. And what happened was, this fellow, when he had not eaten for last 18 days, but because of his whatever little yogic power, he was keeping himself. Moment this Jatayu was cut, he fell on the ground. He lost all his strength only. And they put him inside the jail. Now from where God, he is a prisoner, he could not handle it. He somehow committed suicide in the jail only. That so-called God committed suicide. So you can see he was very, very, very strict. There are so many instances about his life which was actually very, very wonderful. The main essence, you should take it. Prabhupada used to say, he did it. What did he do? He did it. Single-handedly pioneered back the movement of Lord Chaitanya, which has practically gone. The same way, we should also see that something I can achieve for the mission of Lord Chaitanya. You cannot do anything like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is a great Acharya. And these are all highly advanced spiritualists. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki.